I kind of lost my steam, lost my focus with that last video. Didn't really make a conclusion, so I thought I'd say a few more things. It's idiotic to think that the two parties, any two parties, can represent fully the range of interests we have as individuals. When simplified to this dichotomy from Democrat to Republican, what's often called liberal to conservative, even that, I hope in that previous video or separately you've realized that even that does not line up, because liberal technically means generous, and so it does fit with the concept of tax and spend, in that traditionally a liberal is more likely to support government support programs, things like Medicare, unemployment, things like labor unions. Traditionally, in conservative, you might find synonyms like frugal or limited, and traditionally they support small government, these things don't line up purely with liberal and Democrat, though. Clinton brought us into a balanced budget. Our current president has spent more than anyone has, and primarily on military endeavors, but also on tax rebates, just like, in my opinion, to make the stupid people like them. And I'm certainly not calling anyone specific stupid, but my point is that you can perceive this on a separate scale. A way to phrase that would be one scale being a range of fiscally conservative to fiscally liberal, and an opposing scale, right, to make kind of a two-dimensional map, much more nuanced than the simple bipolar setup we have, the dichotomy of red versus blue. A separate pole being social conservative versus socially liberal. And that deals with, laws, infringement of personal rights. This is how we vote in our dichotomous system. I mean, this represents the people, and it's rather balanced between the red and the blue, with a lot of people falling somewhere in between. All these purples we see here. Unfortunately, our system distorts this into what obviously geographically is a map we're more used to, but everybody, I mean, My father, last time he voted, said, I talked to him that day, that morning. He said, well, it's time to go out and cancel my neighbor's vote. He lives over on the west side of the state, where these counties end up red. And he's a little speck of blue that kind of gets lost in that region. And of course, these regions, the red areas of Michigan, get lost in the state because all these people closer to where I live, the crazy hippies in Ann Arbor, and those labor union minorities in Detroit, right? Just to throw some damn stereotypes out there. Their population overrides all the people in the rural areas of the state and turns them blue. And they're votes that kind of don't count. We're not going on popular election. And the biggest problem with this is that there's another dichotomy we could set forth, which is extremist versus moderate. Now there's this concept that our two-party system could allow an extremist from one party to go up against a moderate from the other party, and hopefully the moderate wins. But the problem is this all gets confused in the polarity of the blue versus red. I'm going to check the time. Yeah, that's about enough. I'd love to see a force introduced. Third party doesn't seem to work viably in our system. It's off the scale. It's off of this dichotomy. It sets forth in a direction that is not along this line we like to believe. But I'd like to see a party somewhere in the middle. I mean, it's some force that can draw us into some sort of agreement in the center, which is really where we all want to be anyways. Some sort of compromise. I recommend a political candidate calculator. I'll put a link up here. See how what you believe is actually represented in the people who are running. Global harmonics.